Hey everybody, how's it going? It's time for another live stream. Hope everybody is doing okay out there. So I'm looping a little bit of Ubase stuff, and let me know how the audio is out there. I've got the little note on the side. If it's distorting or anything, just let me know, and I'll do my best to fix it if I can. But let me know if it's too quiet as well. All right. So now I've got this loop going. I'm going to put something over it. Let's see. All right, how's the audio, everybody? Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna move some stuff around a little bit. If anybody has any questions about anything, just let me know. And right now I'm just gonna solo over this a little bit until I hear from you guys. Thank you, Linda. Hey, Karen. Thank you. Yeah, I felt bad that I didn't get the video out on Tuesday. I've been trying to do that each week, but this one was a very long lesson, and I just got the editing part of it done today, so it'll be up tomorrow. And I'm glad you enjoyed the PDF. It was a tough one to do, to try to cram all that information into one lesson, but hopefully it's helpful. So yeah, let me talk through a little bit of that if I can, because I do think that rhythm is probably the most important thing. Like for instance, with the loop pedal stuff, if I'm trying to loop things, if I play the right notes but at the wrong time, for instance, when I'm making the loop, it could sound really bad. So I might demonstrate what I mean, because you have to like stomp in time to start. And so with everything that I went over in the course, it's like you have to stomp on beat 1 and then stop the loop also on beat 1 for it to and it re-records when it goes through, basically. So yeah. Oh, and Linda, you looked through it as well. The top hat. Yep. The whole half notes. Yeah, so I use the half half rest is a hat. So HA and HA, they go together, and then a whole rest is a whole. So that way you don't get them confused. Sometimes people think of one of them as an upside down hat, and I think that confuses everything. But if it's upside down, the hat has a hole in it. So you could think of it as an upside down hat for a whole rest as well. I just think it's easier to confuse them that way. So I try to come up with a different way to do that. That's one of the ways when I was teaching lessons at a studio that the hat thing was the way that we get students to remember half rest. So I can't really take credit for them. But as far as just rhythm goes, I'm just going to go ahead and loop some stuff. But basically, when I'm doing these loops, a lot of times the drum part would be quarter notes or maybe some eighth notes, but it's just kind of like a simple drum beat. So if I were to do a super simple loop, I could do all quarter notes, where the first quarter note is a slap, the second quarter note is a strum, where I'm basically just flicking my fingers out to where the fingernails hit the string. So it's slap, strum, and that'll be our tempo. So then I just want to make sure that I hit the pedal really ever so slightly before I slap, but right on fine too, as long as it catches most of it. And then I have to stop it on a beat one as well. And that way I can play like normal as long as my foot stomps the pedal at the right time. So stomp, strum, slap, strum, slap, strum, slap, strum, stomp. So hopefully that was in time. But if I were to do that out of time, or let's just go with this. There's the drum part. So I'm going to stop the loop. But like, if I wanted to play a bass line along with that, an in-time bass line would be like, whoops. Like that would be an in-time bass line, right? But if I played it out of time, it wouldn't sound as good. See what I'm saying? Like it doesn't really make sense. I can play the same notes in the same order. It's really hard to play out of time intentionally, so now it kind of just sounds like a syncopated rhythm. But the point is, if you're not playing to the beat that's happening in some way, shape, or form around the timing that's established, then it could just sound really chaotic, right? And so if someone were to play chords with you, like let's say we were doing that same groove, and they were doing the chords and getting further and further ahead of that groove. So let me do the groove in time. I made it a weird length. No, I did it right. Okay, so there's the groove. So what if I like had a chord progression that was like, but it just kept like, going out of time. It really wouldn't make sense. So in order to play along with people, you have to have some idea of rhythm. Right? So whether you're responding to the rhythm that's being played or playing the exact rhythm that's being played, it doesn't really matter as long as it fits stylistically. So there I'm playing what's called eighth notes, which I didn't cover eighth notes in the course. That would be like the next step after the rhythm stuff that was covered there. But eighth notes go by twice as fast as quarter notes. Or I could play quarter notes, right? Or I could play a combination of quarter notes and half notes. And occasionally I'm throwing in a rest too, right? Quarter rest too. Rest, that'll be half rest. And half note. So you use all these things together to just kind of come up with different rhythms that make it more interesting. Because if you just play quarter notes, it kind of sounds like a walking bass line or something a little bit. But if I combine it with those half notes, even not even going faster, but going slower. One, two, three. 1, 2. Hi, Fran. Okay, and then there at the end, I just started using eighth notes and some other things too. But rhythm is super duper important. So that's why this one, this lesson that's coming out tomorrow is just going to focus a lot on that, and why it ended up being such a long lesson and took a lot of extra work. There's a lot that goes into that, but I'm glad that y'all are finding the PDF helpful with that on Patreon. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a PDF available on Patreon if you're a member. Cool. So hello, Fran. I hope you had and everybody else, I hope you all had an excellent Halloween. Happy November, now that it's November. And yeah, let me know if there's anything you want to hear. It might be kind of fun to make up loops in different genres. So if one of you wants to give me a style to play in, like blues or jazz or bossa nova or reggae or rock or pop, you could give me a genre, and then somebody else can give me a key to play in, and then I'll create a song around that. So I'm using the loop pedal once again. It looks like this, basically. And when I click it once, it records. And if I click it a second time, it records a second track over what I already recorded. And then I usually use a separate pedal that I plugged into it to stop it. So right now I just have a piano sustain pedal. All right. I'm glad you got to look over it too, Fran. Thank you. I was letting everybody else know earlier, I just got done with editing it today. So it's all ready to go to be released tomorrow. So it will be out tomorrow. All right. So let's see. If anybody has a style, just let me know in the chat, and I'll be happy to try to make a loop out of that style, or just any ideas. So sometimes I do this for fun. If I don't see one in a minute, basically, I'll just go ahead and play an original tune to kill time. But yeah, don't be shy. Feel free to just request a style and a key to play in if you know what I mean by that. I play this one like every week, but it's a song I wrote called Green Tea. So I was trying to think too much. I was trying to think about a waltz. I'll try to combine those two here in a minute. So I'll try to do like a blues waltz in a minute. Down at the Twist and Shout. I'm not sure what that one is. I'm going to try to go in order a little bit. So I'm going to combine Fran's with Linda's. So basically, blues is fun. So that was actually a 12-bar blues pattern, although it's not a very bluesy sounding blues, if that makes any sense. It's kind of a happy sounding one for blues. Oh, it's a Mary Chapin Carpenter song. If I can find, okay, my headphones are there. Yeah, if I could pull it up and listen to it, maybe I can see what the bass line is like, and just play through a minute of that after I do this first request. And it's in the key of G. So I'll see what I can do there, just as far as maybe playing through the bass line for you on that one. I'm not sure if I could like loop everything and learn the melody that quickly too, but I'll see what I can do with that one in a minute. Okay, so a waltz. This is great because it goes along with kind of what I was talking about in the PDF. So if you guys have looked at the PDF, we were talking about 4/4 songs. Waltzes are in 3/4. So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again, we just count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's what makes it have that waltz kind of feel. So a lot of times waltzes will have this kind of vibe within that, where the first beat is accented a little bit, and then the second two are a little bit weaker. So it's like strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, boom, bump, bump, boom, bump, bump. So you've heard that kind of thing. If I'm trying to combine it with the blues, I'm trying to think of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll try that. I'm gonna loop that and make that into a song. So it's a 12-bar blues progression in G, where I'm basically just using a pretty simple pattern. The same notes that I was using for the other one, in fact, but I'm just going to make it in 3 by going 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. And so I'm adding an 8th note in there to make it a little bit more interesting, which I know I haven't talked about 8th notes on the beginner course because it's just a little bit more advanced, but not too much. 1, 2, 3. Strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. Oh no, the first one was slower. Oh well. And that's the importance of keeping a steady tempo I was talking about earlier. I didn't start this one steady enough. It got better as it went along. Let's see, do I want major? No, one minor. That'll happen every time around. Oh well. Oh well. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. kind of fun, just doing a little solo over a waltz. If you've done the other parts of the course, what I'm basically doing for the melody is I'm using notes of the G minor scale, where I'm starting on the 10th fret of the A string and then just doing that minor scale pattern. And I'm kind of going outside of it a little bit, but it's still within that key. I'll try doing where I stay entirely in there on this next part. So let's see if I can do that. There you go. Now some arpeggios. They're all minor arpeggios to kind of help that work. Okay. So that was a great request. I like it because it kind of ties everything together. So blues is always an excellent thing. When I was talking about measures and bars in the PF, basically, since we have a time signature of 3/4 instead of 4/4, we're still counting quarter notes. Our quarter notes are going by 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're just having 3 before a bar line happens. So if you remember what the notation looks like, that's kind of what was going on there. So I was keeping my quarter notes with the drum beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's all the drum part was in that loop. I say drum, just kind of, I should say percussion part, because it's not really a drum, it's still a bass, you know. I'm going slap, strum, strum, slap, strum, strum, and they're all quarter notes. And then what I was doing with the bass line was using notes of G minor scale. So this is like 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 so I'm adding ands in between each number. So basically that's how I'm splitting it into the next kind of notes, eighth notes that we didn't talk about yet. So don't worry about that too much. You could make a simpler one. You could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and make it all quarter notes. If we're trying to keep it the beginner level. And that would have kind of like a, it's not quite the arpeggio, but it has kind of a bluesy vibe like that. And then what I was doing on top of that, I added some kind of pseudo guitar chords. And this is really relevant because they were all quarter notes and a quarter rest. So on beat 1 of each of those groupings of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, on beat 1, I wasn't playing anything. So that would be a quarter rest if I notated that out, followed by 2 quarter notes where I'm strumming the chords. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you get the idea. I think I moved through them faster than I was supposed to, but they're those measures would look like rest, quarter note, rest, quarter note. And then combining other things, like I said, I was using a G minor scale and mostly just staying in that pattern to come up with a melody, at least on the latter half of that. So you can kind of see that all these little building blocks that we went over in the course can even come back around to make melodies, not just bass lines. So hopefully for those of you that are going through the course, you can kind of see a bigger picture with all of this. But even just with creating bass lines, it's good to know those things because some bass lines use scales. In fact, I'm just going to give a couple examples of that. I know that was a few lessons ago, but there's a song called Friend of the Devil where the bass line is literally just, and it's not really the bass line, I think it's the guitar playing it. it changes there. And it changes to kind of like a root fifth kind of line, which is a totally separate lesson. Yeah, so great requests. I appreciate the blues and waltz. I like that I could combine those. So let me check out Karen's request. This is Down at the Twist and Shout. So I'm just going to give it a listen. I'm trying to do this to not have it get copyright struck on the live stream. And I'm just going to see what the bass line is like on it. And is the original in the key of G, Karen? I guess I'll find out here in a second. And if there's anything else that you guys would like to hear, you can always give another genre and another key if you want to at any point. And I'm happy with that. And of course, if you guys have any questions, just general things about the bass ukulele. At the twist shot. Oh, it was right there and then it disappeared. Ooh, cool. Kind of an upbeat drum beat. Oh. Oh, 6. Okay, so there's some specifics in there I don't have down yet. So let me just try to get the chorus down in my head so that I can just play that one part. So it starts on the 5 chord, then goes to the 1 chord, and then goes to the 4 chord for the beginning of the verse. There's one extra little short measure. There's one extra little short measure at the end was throwing me off, but it's mostly just you take the chords and then you do basically just roots and fifths. So I'm not sure exactly what the chords are at a time, but the key that they were playing, that she was playing on the original, was the key of A. So yeah, there was an intro, and then the verse came in on this chord, which is a D chord, then went back to an A chord. I want to say it went to the E chord there. Oh, and you said you could hear it. Do you mean through the headphones? I hope not, but oh well. If it's too loud and it does that, it's not a big deal. But sometimes it can get in the way of the copyright thing with YouTube. So hopefully it didn't. Hopefully it didn't come through. All right. So yeah, so just trying to oh good, you could hear the song, but not actually the singing on the headphones, right? I hope not. Yeah, so basically I'm trying to outline the chords there. Basically the bass player was playing roots and fifths. So when I say roots and fifths, you remember how we learned a major scale? The first note of the major scale, whatever key we're in, so in this case it was A, that's the root. And then the fifth is going to be like the fifth note of the scale. So if we're over an A chord, the root in the fifth would be an A and then an E, because A, B, C, D, E, right? 5 letters away. And we won't worry too much about, I'll explain it if it's a sharp or a flat, but I won't really go over why, because that's a little harder to do. But anyway, A and E for the 1 chord in that key. And then, and the 1 chord is A. So that means we're in the key of A and we're playing an A chord, and then we're playing the root in the fifth of that A chord. So guitar players or anybody else would be strumming the whole chord. But the bass line is playing an A and an E over that A chord. And then when it got to the verse, it started on a D chord and then went to an A chord. So I'm just playing the root of these chords and then the fifth of these chords, which is like the first note of the arpeggio, and the third note of the arpeggio happens to be the fifth note of the scale, if that makes any sense. How do you decide which A and E to use? Well, most of the time we want to stay as low as possible. So, and I'm not completely doing that because when I'm going to the E, I'm going up to that E. You could go down to the E. But sometimes the reason I'll use this E instead of the lower E is if I know I'm going to a D next, this E is closer to that D, and I don't really have another way to play that D down low. So because that's closer, it'll make a smoother line when I transition from going from A to E over to D. But if I were doing a different chord, like let's say I were going to an F sharp chord, which I think happens later, if I might play the lower E and come up to this F sharp. So that's kind of how I figure it is, just kind of staying low keeps us out of the guitar player's range, because basically the guitar's lowest note is that E up here. So as long as we're not like way up high, we're usually pretty good. So we can just kind of get rid of those. And then the answer for the rest of it is you can really do any of the ones that are probably like 7th fret or below, and it's fine. It's just when we start getting up here, it starts sounding a little less like a bass and has a little bit more of a guitar tone to it or something. So that's kind of how I do that. I try to stay out of the other bandmates' ways, which is why I think people like playing with ukulele groups, right? So if you're playing U-bass and everybody else is playing ukulele, their lowest note, you don't even really have their lowest note. You can pretend you do, but there's not even really a fret there for it technically. So because of that, unless they have a low G. If they have a low G, then it's this note. But that gives us all of this range that we can play without ever conflicting with them. So it gives us a little bit more freedom because we're never going to like sonically step on the ukuleles because they're higher pitched instruments. So, but with other ensembles, I use the lower ones just to stay out of the way sonically, basically. Very, very long answer, but hopefully that made sense. All right. So yeah, so maybe on that note, I don't really have the chord progression memorized, but there's also like there was one measure that, you know how we were saying it was 4/4 all the way through, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2. I think there was a measure of 2/4 in there somewhere, or there was or it usually doubles them and only did a single measure. I didn't quite catch it, but a lot of times in country music, they'll do that where it'll be 4/4, and then all of a sudden there'll be one random measure that's only 2/4, which means it only has 2 beats in the measure, which means if you're counting through it, we'd be going 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2, and then 1 2 3 4. So it's kind of interesting. Hello, hi Casper. All right, so maybe I'll just make up a country song in G that's kind of similar. I'm gonna make the song in G, but start on a C like the verse did there. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Right, I think the chorus, it either had a 2/4 measure or it just had, or it's staying in 4/4 if they're all really quick half notes, and it just feels like a 2/4 bar because it stayed on the chords longer. So that's the thing. I'd have to listen to it again to know if it was a 2/4 measure or a 4/4 measure, and it depends on how you're counting the notes of the bass line too. Okay, so just going by this quickly, then it was probably just a 4/4 measure. But if you're thinking of these as quarter notes, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. If you're thinking of them as 1 2 3 4, then it would probably be that. Okay, so Cowdog says, "Can you play the Bach cellist?" We had an arrangement of it for bass ukulele, but we had to do it in a different key, and so we run out of frets if you try doing the. Let's see. I'll see. See, I'm already out of frets. So I think we did it in B when we did it. I got to think about what it does for a second. Oh, it stays on the same note. Let's start from the beginning. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I can't do it. No, probably not right off the top of my head. If I found the tab that we made for it, then I probably could do it a lot easier. On a larger scale bass, I'd have a couple more frets there, and then I could play the majority of it. But my brain is not transposing it quickly enough. I'll try one more time, though. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it from there. It's very cool, but we had a version of it. Somebody else took the time to notate it out. I wonder if we put it on the internet somewhere, or or if I have it on this computer, because it was during 2020 and that was after I got this laptop. Let's see, maybe so. Yes, it's right here. Cool. Okay, I'll try it. They have it notated here though. That's easier. All right. And then this is the part that I played on the video, I guess. It's the part that I don't remember. That's what's funny. What is it here? Oh, we had to play this part down low instead of up high. That was different too. Oops. Then we got what is it? Oops. Why is that a 4 there? Yeah, I'm not super fast at this, I know. Okay, but anyway, yes, we have a tab that somebody did so that we could do each part of that. I know this probably isn't going to work. Well, see, since I'm not the one that tabbed it out, I'm not sure if they would appreciate that. But we did a video where basically each one of us played 2 measures of it. And I'm going to share the link to that at the very least. And so this tablature and notation is actually notated to where it I can't screen share, but let me just try to be silly for a second. Oh, that didn't work. I'm gonna see if I can take the webcam off of here and face it toward the screen. If I do it on the live stream, it'll do that, which is pretty cool. But let's do this here. Can you see that, guys? I'm not sure if it shows up right or not. Hold on, I can't do both at the same time. I'm trying to move one over here. There we go. So hopefully that helps a little bit. If you wanted to, if it's clear enough, you could pause the video later. And so that was what Daniel played. Then I played this part right here, these 2 measures. And Magnus played that part. Do y'all know Magnus from playubase.com? All right. It's not super clear. I might have to share it the other way later, but I found that on the computer anyway. It may or may not be on the Patreon. I think I asked them if I could share it a long time ago. So Patreon members might already have access to it. I just can't remember. Hopefully I don't see how messy my room is beyond here, but I mean, obviously you can see the instruments are all over the place. So yes, that would be cool. I've got to figure out where I can share that, but yes, Bob, I'd like to do that. And let me find the link to the video that we did that on, if I can. We called it the UBass Orchestra of the World, I believe. And then we didn't really do any other videos of the world. So what I'm going to do is share this in the chat for you guys. Although I don't want it to play because that'll probably mess up the live stream. Share, copy the link. Okay. That should be the link to the video if you guys want to watch it later. You could go ahead and copy the link, though it might disappear out of the chat at some point. All right. But yes, that one's kind of hard to just jump in and just be able to play, but that's a really, really good request. I do like that one a lot. And we do have an arrangement that works for UBass, where instead of in G, we did the cello suite in B. And I never learned the whole thing. I just learned that one part. So, very cool stuff. Yeah, very, very good request. Are there any other requests? Maybe we could do the same thing, that we were doing a minute ago, where we go with a genre. Oh, shoot. Sorry, Facebook notifications are popping up everywhere. If you want to, name a genre. And if I missed one, just retype it in. Let's see. Oh, I was going to make a country kind of song out of a similar progression to the Mary Chapin Carpenter song. You said in G. So it's not going to be as long of a progression or anything. I think what I'll just do is just kind of do that kind of thing. Let me listen to it one more time. Maybe I can get the verse or something looped. Or the chorus. Let's see what the chorus is like. Okay. So I'll just take that second half of it, I guess. And I'm going to do it in G instead of an A. So that's going to be down here. I'll start on a C chord to make that in the key of G. Okay. Yeah, okay, so the drum beat would be twice as fast. It'll be like... Ooh, I didn't stay on time very well, but that's okay. Not my greatest work. Like I said, I don't really know it, so I'm just kind of imitating. So I'm taking a G major scale up here and just trying to outline the chords within it. So all these chords have notes of the G major scale in them. So it kind of all sounds pretty good over it. But then if I do them out of order, to stay in that little confining pattern there. I made another video where it teaches you how to do a major scale on one string using whole steps and half steps. So we could just use the open G string and do whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, which means skip a fret when I say whole and don't skip a fret when I say half. And that's our scale. So we can do them out of order there too. And then I can kind of do pull-offs to the open string in between them. Or I just play yeah. So I was just demonstrating with one finger how to do that. I would normally play them in positions. And mix it up a little bit. So you can tell a lot of times I'm going pretty far up one way in the scale and then pretty far down the other way. Right? So you have a lot of choices there. And then I'm throwing in other little techniques, little hammer-on, pull-off combinations, where I play a note, then push down with just that hand, hard enough to get it to make a sound. And then I pull off, which is the opposite, where I kind of almost pluck that note while leaving this finger down. So it's kind of fun just doing all that. So hopefully that gives you an idea of that, in spite of my sloppy loop. But this kind of demonstrates the importance of having steady timing. And you have to be steady with the loop pedal, not only with your hands, but also with when you hit the loop. And then usually what I do is before I'll start a loop, and I haven't done that a lot today, which is why I think they've been so inconsistent. But usually when I start a loop, I'll play it a few times until I get into a steady pattern before looping it. And I usually start with the drum part too. So I'll loop that now. And now I'm just going to come up with a bass line. I'm going to do the key of F. That's just over one chord, so I'm just going to do an F minor chord over here. Let's do that. I didn't really have an idea in mind before I started. Oops. Still not quite perfect, but it's closer in time. My drum beat suffered a little on one of the hits. A little bit. All right. So, do you guys have any other suggestions or anything that you'd like to hear played? Hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of like the loop pedal and how to tie really everything from the beginner course into that, along with some other concepts that obviously aren't quite as beginner friendly. So let me know if there's another genre that you'd like to hear, another key to play it in. So one person give me a genre and someone else give me a key after that. And any one of you guys can do it. And I'll just take probably the first one or the first two that come. And until those come in, I'll probably it takes a minute. If you already sent something, that's fine. It just takes it a minute to show up here. I'm gonna do a non-loop pedal thing where I try to basically combine all these techniques at once. I don't really have a melody in mind, so let me think. Can I play a recognizable lick like from Michael Jackson? I mean, the most recognizable lick I could probably do from him, like Billie Jean, but I like doing it. The original line has the octaves in it. It's like the condensed version. And this is kind of a simplified version. Okay, so let me see. Maybe if I loop that whole pattern. Okay, there we go. I started looping the front part all the way through. So that's an F sharp, so I'm gonna have to do that up here. Whoops, not there. Oh no, I don't have enough frets. I think for a second how to do this better. Oh, I forgot to change chords there. Ooh, I'm gonna have to start the drum beat over again. That was pretty rough. There we go. That's where I looped it over. Oops, I didn't mean to stop it. Let me practice the guitar part before I loop it. That'll help a little bit. Good. There we go. Now I got it. And then what do I want to do for that part? Do the beat down here. I think it's That's what it does. Let me see what it does. Let me see if this works. It's a little late on the first one, but that's cool. I like doing it down lower better. And then that could do that. And then I could just make up solos off of that. Yeah, but then it doesn't go to the other part, so it gets kind of boring for a minute there, right? Wonder if I could make my fingers look like they're moonwalking while playing. That doesn't work very well. Something like that. I'm gonna fade it out a little bit. But there are some people that try to do arrangements where basically you do all the things at the same time. It's pretty hard to do here because our range is limited. Normally I would do the chords up here, but we run out of frets, as you can see. So I had to like change them around to get it here, which was very different for me. Because I had the F sharp up here and the D there, so it's backwards. So that's kind of what I had to do. That's why it took me a minute on the guitar part, because I'm used to doing it up here. And then vocally, just the verse. So I never got to go to the chorus part, which kind of feels wrong almost. But it was a lot of fun trying to do that. So great suggestion. As far as just riffs or something, you know, if I was in E flat, it would work better. But I think it's, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can do the... Yeah, the guitar part's kind of hard to do with all the rest of it. But trying to give it a little bit of a percussive backbeat by strumming. So sometimes when there's not a note played, it's easy to kind of strum down with the fingernails. It's easier to strum down with the fingernails. But then when there actually is a note, you have to mute the other strings around it and still get the percussive sound with just getting one note to ring out. So it's less about being accurate and more about muting the other strings when I'm trying to do arrangements like that. All right. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I hope for the people following along in the course that it's helped connect things over a little bit. And I hope you guys have an excellent week. I will be releasing the part 9 of the course tomorrow. It's already done. It's already uploaded. I just need to come up with a description and other things just to make it easier to find. Then I will be releasing that at some point tomorrow, hopefully earlier in the day is my plan. And I want to thank you all for your patience. It was supposed to come out on Tuesday, but it's taken me a little bit longer than I thought, just with being busy, but also because it's a longer lesson. It's a 20-minute lesson. But thank you for your wonderful requests and for hanging out. And I will see you guys again soon. Cheers.